That is where we continue to follow possible tornado in central Burnett County near Llano County as well until 8:45. This tornado moving north of Highway 29 towards Burnett and also northwestern Williamson County under a tornado warning until the top of the hour. Possible tornado developing near Andis or about 11 miles east of Bertram, moving toward the east at 15 miles an hour. Again, we are well to the south of Dallas. We're in the south central part of Texas where we continue to monitor what's going on here with these tornadoes in Texas. And there's Oklahoma, where we have a tornado watch in effect until midnight, and central Pontotoc County again remains under a tornado warning until about 9:15 Central Time.
Again, we're still watching the risk of severe weather across a good chunk of the Midwest. Here's that live look out of Pontotoc County here in Oklahoma, and you can see the very low clouds. Not seeing any wall cloud or tornado yet, but it definitely does look very turbulent. You have those low-hanging clouds as a sign of how unstable the atmosphere is, and it's not just for tonight. We have the risk of severe weather overnight and also into your Sunday as well. Here's the overnight look. Yeah, Texas, talking San Antonio, Austin. These storms have been mainly off to your west. You're seeing some cloud cover, maybe some light rain showers. Those storms will be heading right across the I-35 corridor, and we already have that risk of reports of tornadoes just south of the Oklahoma City area. So we are not done at all in terms of severe weather. This will continue well past the sunset hour, which is pretty much right now. The sun has been setting over the last half hour across this region, and we're still concerned with severe weather even north into Missouri. Yeah, Clay County, Missouri, we're looking live now. You can see we're on the go as well. It's really hard to make out now that the sun has gone down. It's very dark outside, but this is another area that we are watching for severe weather. This is Clay County, Missouri, in the northwestern part of the state, and no tornado warnings currently for Missouri. It is actually over eastern Kansas where we currently have the only tornado warning that is going right now. But again, just watch out for some damaging winds and possibly some large hail with these storms as well. Yeah, we're still dealing with the tornado warning there in eastern Kansas. That's Leavenworth County. That's under a tornado warning. This cell has already produced a tornado, did some damage. We talked to storm chaser Jeff Petrosky earlier. He said a tornado did some damage at a mobile home in the Lakeside mobile home area in Lakeside, Kansas, close to Lake Perry. And he was also talking about search and rescue now underway, trying to perhaps find some survivors of that and definitely rescuing people from this tornado that moved across the Lakeside area there in portions of eastern Kansas. So are we in for any more tornadoes as we go into the second half of the weekend? We've got our exclusive Tornado Condition Index, and even though our severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes is on the go with the Great Tornado Hunt, he is still providing us with this information, telling us where he thinks the best chance of tornadoes will be on Sunday, giving it a 4 out of 10 for southeastern Kansas. So about a 40% chance of seeing tornadoes within 40 miles or so, 50 miles or so of this area. Also a 4 out of 10 as far north as southern Wisconsin. That whole area in red, we really need to watch out for severe weather, and also watching northern and western Illinois, perhaps around Rockford, Illinois, getting very close to Chicago, giving it about a 4 out of 10 chance for seeing tornadoes within a 50-mile area. Again, right now we're concerned just north of Kansas City. Tornado warning in Leavenworth, Kansas. That cell is moving across the Missouri River right now, and you could be dealing with this tornado thunderstorm along the stretch of I-29 just northwest of Kansas City.
There's a funnel.
There's a funnel up top there.
Up above the top of the great
very well defined up there. That makes it all the way down. It's real thin rope up there. We've seen that kind of funnel a couple of times. That's about the third time we've seen a funnel like that. But you can see the very strong updrafts
look at the
that go
cloud rising into that.
Right into the wall cloud.
And that has obscured the funnel that was right in there. That's what happens. You get a little bit of extra rotation, a little bit extra updraft. And that's like a skater. As that air rises, it pulls in laterally, and that allows the rotation to concentrate a little bit. All right, there's the Great Tornado Hunt. That was earlier this evening around Savannah, Missouri, well to the north of St. Joseph, Missouri, where, as you can see, they spotted a funnel cloud. And that's our severe weather expert, Dr. Rick Forbes and Mike Bettis on the tornado hunt. And we're still concerned with severe weather. We had tornadoes so far tonight from portions of the Twin Cities in Minnesota all the way through portions of Kansas, and even the risk of tornadoes right now going into Oklahoma and Texas. Yeah, we still have some active warnings out here, Paul. We want to take it down into Texas, first of all, where we still have a tornado warning in effect for Williamson County until the top of the hour. Also back towards Burnett and Llano County until 8:45 Central. So another few minutes
minutes on that one, and you can see that these cells are kind of coming together here, producing, if not a tornado, certainly some damaging winds, and there could be some large hail moving toward the northeast at 40 miles an hour. Be careful around Fawcett, Easton. You definitely want to be seeking shelter. Treat this as a tornado warning, folks, because at times we are seeing tornadoes spin up across this particular region.
And our great tornado hunt is in this neck of the woods. They're just south of St. Joseph, just north of Kansas City. And we do not have them yet, but they've been giving us live pictures and live reports throughout the evening, and will do so as they continue to track this. They're trying to get on the south side of this storm, which is just moving just north of Kansas City, northwest of Kansas City. And this is the cell that was a supercell earlier producing tornadoes. So they're going to sit tight there and see what they can find. Again, the reason why they're out there is not just to give us pictures. Pictures are great and all that, but they're trying to get information and trying to study how some thunderstorms produce tornadoes and how some don't, and it helps us give you more advanced warning to keep yourself and your family safe as we go through times like this. We have severe thunderstorms breaking out and some producing tornadoes and some not. Yeah,
we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Kansas. Now it looks like the hail may be up to tennis ball size. So we're talking about Atchison, also Leavenworth, Buchanan, Platte counties. This is in Kansas as well as Missouri until 9:15 Central Time. It appears these areas just keep getting hit over and over again. This particular cell near Winchester or near Nortonville and moving toward the northeast at 30 miles an hour. Again, this hail could be destructive, up to tennis ball size.
And again, let's continue down the line. We're still concerned about this storm in Oklahoma City, southeast of Oklahoma City, here in Oklahoma around the Pontotoc area, still under a tornado warning at this time till 9:15 local time. This cell is moving off to the east at 25 miles per hour, and a report of a tornado near Vanos. And again, this cell, talking to the stars of Storm Riders here on the Weather Channel, Simon Brewer and Justin Drake, they spotted several tornadoes with this cell as it's moving just to the north of Ada, Oklahoma. Definitely would take shelter immediately, as well as the rest of central Pontotoc County. And we're still concerned here in parts of central Texas. The hill country still getting pounded tonight. Tornado warning for Williamson County as well as Burnett County, all under tornado warnings. And these cells are now giving that heavy rain across the I-35 corridor. The good news is you need the rain, but we still have that risk of tornadoes, and they're moving slowly. So flash flooding, even in an area drought, flash flooding can occur pretty quickly. And it's not just tonight. We're also concerned with the risk of severe weather on your Sunday. And you can see what a large area is going to be under the same gun again.
Big cities involved here. We're talking Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, down towards even Memphis, which of course has been hard hit by the flooding of the Mississippi River. So this is an area that we'll be watching as we head into Sunday for large destructive hail, also damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. And there will be that possibility of tornadoes as well. On our Torcon index, Dr. Greg Forbes giving it about a 4 out of 10 chance of seeing tornadoes in certain areas from Wisconsin and down into parts of Kansas as well, where they currently are.
And another thing that you'll see across this area is a lot of heavy rain and the risk of flooding. Probably the last thing you want to deal with after this very wet spring we've already had.
All right, stay with us here on Weather Center Live. We continue to cover the severe weather threat.
That sometimes storms like this that are rotating this broadly will have more than one circulation center. So we're seeing the south edge of it. That doesn't necessarily mean that there couldn't be a tornado hidden within the rain that we aren't seeing. So just because we're not seeing a tornado all the way to the ground doesn't mean there isn't one here. It's just one that we are not seeing. We can't be sure that there's not one hidden by rain inside.
And it could actually be something.
And that was earlier this evening to the north of St. Joseph, Missouri, right around Savannah, Missouri, where our great tornado hunt crew, they were able to spot some interesting cloud formations, including a funnel cloud.
Yeah, that's severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes and Mike Bettis on the great tornado hunt. And they're actually out there right now just north of Kansas City. And again, the sun set around 8:31 local time, so it's dark. So they switched to night vision mode. That's why the video is coming into green. And hey, Mike, good to see you there. Now, where are you? And I know that cell is no longer tornadic, but definitely some heavy rain, a lot of lightning out there.
Yeah, a lot of lightning to go with it, and what we're looking off to the north here, okay? So there's one initial storm that's passed by us, all right, across 29 and into northwest Missouri. Now the next storm that we're following is now back to our west, okay? Dr. Ford's been inspecting this back here. We're going to take our night vision camera, and our cameraman is actually going to shoot right directly to the west here. He's basically our eyes at night, and we're watching potentially back in there for a tornado, because there's a storm that's coming toward us and maybe just slightly to our north, and then one behind that. So the one really behind that is the one we'll really begin to follow. Dr. Forbes has been here with us this evening. Dr. Forbes, what have you been noticing?
Yeah, this one has had a lot of lightning in it. There's another big flash there. So the body of the storm off just to the west and just slightly north of west is where the action is, and that's we're pointing in that direction. But it seems at this point that this storm has probably weakened in terms of its rotation. It has sent out a big surge of a cloud. You were seeing some of that on our camera as we drove down I-29. And probably it has what we call gusted itself out in terms of its tornado potential.
One thing that's interesting about this is we had a very large individual storm, then it came through Topeka and potentially produced a tornado there with some damage, and then broke into kind of a multicellular thing, congealed again, and now it's broken apart again.
Yeah, it has. The northern part of it actually surged northeast, and you could see that black part of that cloud as we were rolling on our camera down the roadway. And then the storm behind that is actually taking a little bit of a left turn, and it's gotten in behind the first one.
We're going to watch it very closely. Brad, our cameraman, is our eyes tonight, and we can't see anything with our own eyes. Dr. Forbes or I, but Brad can. He's going to keep looking for the storms off to our west. We'll bring it to you tonight on Night Vision right here on the weather. And welcome back, everyone, to the Great Tornado Hunt. We are following storms here just north of Kansas City. We're in Platte City, Missouri, following a storm, and we're showing it to you on night vision camera, visibly lit up here by lightning. Bleeding edge here, just off to the right of your screen, by the pole there is the shelf cloud. In behind that was where we potentially could see a tornado. Dr. Forbes with us. Dr. Forbes, potentially scud cloud, which would be kind of a fooler for a funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. And that shelf cloud that's where the warm air out ahead of the storm is being lifted up over some rain-cooled air. That's the outflow of the storm. And that shelf cloud, it's that angling. It looks like a bit of a snowplow right in behind the telephone pole there.
Whoa.
And it, for the moment there, we thought it was a tornado because it is almost all the way right down to the ground.
We cannot actually see it unless the lightning flashes, but our night vision, you should be able to get a nice good visual on it. Believe it or not, the storm behind this is the one that actually may be bigger and stronger. We'll stay in position here. We're going to follow it for you. These storms could be cycling, could be in a weaker form right now, and then working their way across I-29 from Kansas into Missouri. Dr. Forbes, there still is great danger at night.
Absolutely. The danger at night from tornadoes is much greater than it is in the daytime because you can't see it coming. And this is one monstrous shelf cloud that is almost all the way to the ground. It looks like a dinosaur advancing on the horizon there.
That is almost touching the ground, and the lightning actually is getting a little bit closer. There's going to come a point here. Actually, now we've got thunder over. All right, we're going to probably have to get everyone back into their cars into safety here. We don't want anyone but struck by lightning. Paul and Kelly, we're going to toss it back to you guys. You can see the danger around us. We're going to hurry into the cars here real quick. We'll stay on it for you, though. May jog just slightly north. Once we do that, we'll show you the storms in a little bit more detail. But for now, I think we're going to put everyone in their cars because the lightning's just a little bit too close.
Shelf cloud down like a T-Rex moth.
Hey, stay safe, guys. Hey, Dr. Forbes, I hope you can still hear me. There was a Facebook question on Kelly's page about why is the Kansas City area only under a severe thunderstorm watch versus a tornado watch when you guys are having tornadic thunderstorms head that way?
And where? Emporia.
Well, I think the
Too bad. We're going to have to have them answer that question a little bit later on. As you can see, though, they are piling into their cars now to get out of harm's way. Dangerous lightning. You could see it flashing, just a real light show going on there with that possible tornado developing right in front of them.
Yeah, let's show you the radar. Max Winter, you can see where Platte City is. That's where they are. They are just north of Kansas City. So even the Kansas City metro area, the north side of town, it's going to be a very stormy city. You see Platte City. I'm going to put the lightning on this real quick, and you can see all the flashes. They're huge, but still it's a lot of flashing there. And now I'm going to zoom on out and show you that it's not just here in the Kansas City area north of you, but look at this line. It continues to grow all the way back towards eastern Kansas, and now the Emporia area, Kansas is under a tornado warning.
That's right. Take a look at Max 2. I'll show you a closer look at this cell that we're watching in Lyon County over east central Kansas. Tornado warning going until 9:45. And get this, trained weather spotters have actually reported seeing a tornado with this one as well, moving toward the northeast at 35 miles an hour. Another tornado just located to the north of Emporia. So watch out around Americus, Admire, and also Reading or Reading. I'm not sure how you say that, but this also includes the Kansas Turnpike between mile markers markers 132 and 153. So a dangerous storm setting up for us in central Kansas.
Yeah, this cell is moving at 35 miles per hour. Maybe you can put the storm track on there to show you what time we have in terms of getting towards the Kansas City metro area. And some of the same areas, Topeka, Kansas, we're also getting hit again by a severe thunderstorm. And again, already reported of a tornado doing some damage just east of there around the lakeside, a mobile home on the Lake Perry area by a storm chaser, Jeff Petrosky. He's actually helping the recovery and rescue efforts there as well. But the same tornadic thunderstorm in Lyon County will be headed your way, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour, and it continues to move on towards the Kansas City area. Looks like just about midnight local time. That's when we could see this same thunderstorm that's producing a tornado now in Lyon County get to the Kansas City metro.
That's right. You can see some of the other cities listed here. Lawrence, watch out around 10:55. If this one holds together, this will be upon you as well. And this is an official tornado warning, by the way. Some of these other cells that we're watching in northeastern Kansas, not warned on yet for a tornado, but we are seeing potentially damaging winds in the northeastern part of Kansas and moving into west central Missouri as well, just on the north side of Kansas City. And again, this is the area where our tornado hunt crew is right now. They've been watching the cell not too far from Leavenworth here in Kansas, and you can see just a big red blob. That basically means very heavy rain, a lot of lightning with this cell, and possible tornadic action as well.
And I don't know if we have the great tornado hunt back. We have Dr. Forbes on we have the picture at least there in Platte City. And again, Dr. Forbes, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but this entire area is under
I can hear you, Paul, yes.
Okay, this area is under a severe thunderstorm watch, and the question was, why not a tornado watch when you're dealing with these tornadic thunderstorms?
Well, I think initially the thought was that the storms were didn't have a huge amount of rotation in terms of the source of the rotation, but that has apparently proved to be not the case. Now, even so, the Storm Prediction Center that issues severe thunderstorm watches indicates there is a probability of tornadoes, and they gave a 20% chance of 2 or more tornadoes within that severe thunderstorm watch. So they didn't totally say there wouldn't be any, but it just didn't match the 30% or higher threshold that they usually give in order to make it a tornado watch as opposed to a severe thunderstorm watch.
Yeah, that's a great point, because again, it's severe thunderstorms that produce tornadoes. So again, our viewers do not put your guard down just because it's a severe thunderstorm watch. Severe thunderstorms produce tornadoes. You
guys staying put there, Greg? You staying in the car? We're watching your light show right now on your night vision camera.
Yeah, we're in the vehicles safe from lightning. Of course, the metal bodies of metal roofed vehicles is a great shield from lightning. We're shooting out the window with our night vision camera, so all of our people are safely inside metal roofed vehicles.
And Dr. Forbes, reports of tornadoes well to the southwest of you in Lyon County there in eastern Kansas. Do you expect this cell to probably weaken somewhat before it gets to where you are, just north of Kansas City?
Well, it looks as if all the storms are beginning to get into a line. They may be moving most all along the same path. When they do that, they tend to sometimes interfere with each other, but because they move across the same path, they can wind up becoming an increasing flood threat. And the Kansas City area is one that is known for having, with the kind of rolling terrain around, having a flash flood threat. So the tornado threat may slowly diminish, but the way these storms are lining up, the flash flood threat is definitely on the increase.
Yeah, let's take a look at that storm that Paul was just referring to in Emporia, Kansas on Max 2. A closer look at that cell showing some rotation there, and it continues to move toward the northeast, perhaps if it does hold together affecting Kansas City. So we're going to have to watch that very closely. It is moving toward the northeast at about 35 miles an hour just on the north side of Emporia. And Greg, they're saying that possibly another tornado with that as well.
Hey, coming up after the break, we'll check back in with our great tornado hunt. Our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, and Mike Bettis live in the field. You're watching their night vision picture right now, just north of Kansas City, Missouri.
Severe weather striking the plains. There's our great tornado hunt crew. They are in Platte City, Missouri, using the night vision, tracking down severe weather. Lots of flashes of lightning as well. Stay with us here on Weather Center Live as we bring it all to you, including new warnings in central Oklahoma.
Here, look at a live picture of our tornado hunt crew, and
We're going to take a look at those cells now in central Oklahoma, where we do have a new tornado warning in effect for Pontotoc County, northern Pontotoc County, southern Seminole County, now under a tornado warning. And by the way, this thunderstorm has a history of producing tornadoes near Bing, moving toward the northeast at 20 miles an hour. So locations including Francis and Sassasqua, you need to be seeking shelter immediately as the cell is moving in your direction. Tornado warning just issued here in east central Oklahoma.
If we head to Maxwell, we have a new tornado warning also for Osage County in Kansas. So now it's Osage as well as Lyon counties, both under tornado warnings. And you can see these cells are just off to the south and west of Kansas City. And again, Kansas City seeing some strong storms just north of you. Guess what? More storms to the southwest of you. And it's going to be a very long, stormy night. Flooding is a huge concern as well. And our tornado hut is in that area just north of Kansas City in Plant City, Missouri.
That's right. We want to bring in Mike Bettis as well as our storm tracker, Dr. Greg Forbes, joining us, breaking out the night vision goggles. So sorry, they're looking a little green tonight, but quite a light show going on behind you guys. Are you safe to be outside?
Well, at this point, we think we are. I mean, we watched it for a little while, and we thought, okay, well, there doesn't seem to be much lightning, and all of a sudden it started lighting up again. Where you're looking off is off to the north behind us there, and the storm has actually passed off to our north and is going north and east. The problem is, and it really looks impressive on the shelf cloud down the road there as it's lit up by the lightning. If you scan back to the west, then there are so many more storms, Dr. Forbes, lining up behind this, and each has the potential of producing a tornado because, wow, a lot of lightning now. Each has the possibility of producing a tornado. That's been kind of the history of this storm.
Yeah, it really is. They've got themselves aligned such that their southeast edges, that's where the inflow is. They could get a tornado along that without interfering with each other. And then before the break, Paul was asking me about Emporia, and we got to take a look at a radar then from that area, and that's a more individualized supercell that's by itself. So
oh, wow.
It is definitely another possibility of heading toward the Kansas City area.
Sorry, sorry, I didn't mean to freak out there a little bit. There's some very vivid cloud-to-ground lightning just off to our north there with that first storm that's passing by us here. But the thing about some of these storms is they've been individual, they've gone linear, they've broken into two at one point, and we're just kind of scanning. All Dr. Forbes and I can see is the sky once the lightning backlights it. But Brad, who is our cameraman, is basically now our eyes tonight for tornadoes. Because he has the night vision lens, he scans all across the sky and looks for the tornadoes where there could possibly be rotation. He alerts us to that. We look at it, we try to determine through his camera, he's another viewfinder we can look at whether we've got a tornado in there or not, kind of trying to alert everybody what's happening. As of this moment, on the storms that we're on, north side of Kansas City, and then the storms extend back into Kansas. Whoa, we might be a little bit close to the lightning now. No tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings on them, meaning large hail. We're talking quarter-size hail and winds that could be 60 miles per hour. So still inside tonight, a good spot to be. And Dr. Forbes, you notice anything up there to the north?
Well, it definitely has moved off to the right, which would be a little bit more to the east from our perspective while we've been sitting here. The shelf cloud previously, when we showed it to you, was to the left of the road. Now it's off to the right of the road. So there we've heard some thunder. Most of this has been far enough away we haven't heard thunder, but I'm thinking most of this cloud-to-ground lightning is far enough away that we're not in danger, but it is putting on quite a light show off to our north at this point.
Yeah, the storm is moving away from us. We haven't put ourselves in a position where the storm will roll right over top of us and hit us. It's going off to the north right now, and that's a good thing. And I think the line behind that even is going to go off to our north. Having said that, travels on an interstate like 29 is going to be difficult tonight. You could have some blinding rain. And we'll scan one more time back to the west here to give you a perspective of the storms that we're watching approach us. There'll be more wall clouds behind that. Potentially that would produce tornadoes.
Yeah, and back due west of us, I can see another one of the anvils, a whitish anvil when the lightning hits it. That is one of those other storms that Mike was talking about in the line that's off to our west.
We're following it for you tonight. Strong storms pouring through Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Weather Channel, and you're watching Weather Center. I'm Paul Goodlow along with Kelly Cass, and a very stormy night across the central U.S.
Yeah, from Texas and Oklahoma northward into Kansas and Missouri. We're going to start off in the south where we do have some active weather right now, but we're first showing you where we have the watches, the yellow indicating severe thunderstorm watch for Iowa, eastern Nebraska. The red is a tornado watch in Oklahoma, but here in Texas, we've been following these storms for a while around Burnett County. We continue to have rotation being seen on this particular cell. This is well to the north north of Austin, Texas, and severe rotation near Burnett, moving toward the east at 15 miles an hour. Also a portion of Williamson County continuing under a tornado warning until 9:30. Now we hop into Oklahoma. As you can see, well to the southeast of Oklahoma City, we're still following the cell in Pontotoc and also Seminole counties. A thunderstorm with a history of producing tornadoes near Bing, moving toward the northeast at 20 miles an hour. So again, a dangerous looking cell here in Oklahoma, where you are currently under a tornado watch until midnight Central Time. So watch out, lowest level of your home and away from any windows.
Yeah, we're still watching and tracking storms in southern Arkansas as well as parts of eastern Kentucky. So we're not ignoring you, but we have some life-threatening weather in other parts of the country. Look at the overall view here in the Midwest. You can see the counterclockwise rotation. That's low pressure here, and that's adding some spin or shear in the atmosphere, and that is helping to give us some supercell thunderstorms and some tornadoes as well. The Twin Cities, we had a tornado just on the western side of town earlier. Now the storms are moving north up I-35. Watch out for heavy rain there. We're also watching heavy rain pushing into western Iowa as well as southern Iowa, but it's also into eastern Kansas. Osage and Lyon counties under tornado warnings. Again, Lyon till 9:45, Osage till 10. This is a supercell thunderstorm here, and it already has produced at least 2 tornadoes, reports of tornadoes here. One definitely has been spotted, and this continues to move pretty rapidly up to the north and east, around 35 miles per hour. We can zoom out. We can see eventually some cities that could be impacted, including you in Kansas City and still Carroll and even Topeka. We've had our fair share of severe weather and a tornado just east of you, and we're still tracking storms just north of Kansas City, Missouri, dumping heavy rain, and that's where we find our Mike Bettis and Dr. Greg Forbes.
That's right. The great tornado hunt continues, where you guys earlier spotted a funnel cloud north of St. Joseph, Missouri. I know it's dark out there now, but with the night vision, we're seeing lightning. Are you able to even see a funnel cloud if it were to happen?
Well, it'd have to be relatively close to us, we think, but with the camera and the optics that are on it, Brad, our cameraman, should be able to get a nice visual on it. I don't think we'll be able to see one if it's more than a couple of miles away, but off to the west is the same direction we keep looking, because that's where the storms are lining up now and coming towards us. And Dr. Forbes, with that, the storms becoming a little bit more linear, they tend to maybe not be as tornadic producing as large individual storms. Having said that, though, you still see these little appendages off of a couple of them.
Yeah, there's definitely little appendages coming out the south edge of those, and those could be areas that are getting inflow and a little bit of rotation. What I'm seeing due to the west there is some kind of a very it slopes up from left to right, which would be up northward. So it's some kind of a tail. Sometimes we call those beaver tails. They're big laminar inflow, smooth inflow to the storm. So that's probably what we're seeing. One of those appendages is probably that strong inflow that's spiraling its way into the storm due to the west. And just to the north of that is where all of that lightning is just lighting up the sky. So that's the body of the storm.
And that strong southerly moist inflow is what will end up feeding the storm. Then a lot of times how a storm will choke itself off, so maybe it'll get into some cooler, drier inflow into the storm, and that ends up killing off. There's a definitive
there's a wall cloud
right in there. It's
now.
ragged, but there's a wall cloud in there. You can see it very distinctly now.
And the wall cloud is just to the north, in our perspective, just to the right of where that laminar structure is that I was calling a beaver tail. So we definitely have a very well organized storm just to our west. It's going to go just to our north, and then we'll turn, well, just to our northwest and then north as it slides along that line.
To give you some perspective, we're looking basically due west at this point. That ragged wall cloud that you see there is where, if there was going to be a tornado, it would form. A lot of times when you see a tornado form, it'll form in a very well-defined wall cloud, and so what you would see there would be a very solid, almost kind of pancake flat but stacked pancake, and then a tornado would form underneath that. This is what we've seen today, though, Dr. Forbes. There are several ragged wall clouds with rotation, but those tend to maybe form funnel clouds or weak tornadoes, as opposed to these large, very formidable tornadoes.
Yeah, that's absolutely what we've seen. Very, very strong rotation, well-organized rotation, and so quick that you could actually see it without the need for time-lapse photography. You could just see them with your eyes spinning around, but they were not producing tornadoes that we saw. We did see some very small funnels that were occasionally getting concentrated within the edge of that wall cloud.
We're going to follow this very closely. Long line of storms extends from north of Kansas City back into Kansas. It's streaming its way off to the north and east. All severe thunderstorm warned. We're watching them very closely, as well as a very strong storm exiting Emporia right now that has a tornado. Full coverage when we come back.
Welcome back. Breaking news now. A large and dangerous tornado now being reported here in Kansas.
Yeah, again, this is Osage County. This is possible, actually a tornado, large on the ground tornado tracking to the northeast at 30 miles per hour, located 8 miles northwest of Malvern Lake or 9 miles southwest of Osage City. Again, this is moving towards the northeast at 30 miles per hour. Watch out around Malvern Lake, Osage City, Malvern, Linden, Quernemo, as well as Pomona Lake. Again, a tornado is large and dangerous. It is tracking towards the northeast at 30 miles per hour. Again, watch out around Osage City as well as Malvern Lake.
And this storm has a history of producing a tornado that was actually spotted near Emporia, Kansas, moving toward the north and east. And as a matter of fact, our great tornado hunt crew, they are well over here in northeastern Kansas, well to the north of Kansas City. But if this cell were to hold together, it could perhaps have an impact on Kansas City. We want to bring in Mike Bettis as well as our storm master, Dr. Greg Forbes. He's joining us now from north of Kansas City. And Greg, what do you think about this cell that we're tracking east of Emporia?
Well, we did a little interrogation on it. Of course, we don't have the kind of radar there that I have when I'm using our high-resolution radar in the studio, but looks like it's a little over 2 hours and probably generally heading toward the Overland Park area, the southwest suburbs of Kansas City. We did notice it has very, very strong rotation on it. I believe the difference between the inbound and the outbound velocities was about 130 miles per hour that we were seeing, so has very, very strong rotation with it.
So again, talking 2 hours, so roughly, what's that, about almost midnight local time. You're saying this one will go on the south side right now, the way it's tracking should be on the south side of Kansas City?
Well, again, I think probably you in the studio are in a better position to be doing this kind of extrapolation than we are with, but it looked to me as if it was probably heading toward the southwest corner of Kansas City.
Now, Greg, what are you experiencing right now at your location? I understand you're north of Kansas City. Still a lot of lightning flashing around you.
Yeah, we're seeing the line of storms that's off to our west that has another shelf cloud here that you're probably seeing in our night vision just behind the trees, angling down toward the right, which would be toward the north, off another one of these storms that is passing just off to our west. So that would be inflow. Probably, and we have at times seen some rotation, some wall clouds that are part of that as well. A very strong updraft into the thunderstorm. So we continue to see quite a light show with that. It has moved since before break. We were showing you this. It was left of a telephone pole. It's moved to the right of that. So it's moved several miles farther off toward the north from our vantage point.
And Dr. Forbes, have you guys formed a game plan for the rest of the evening and wait to the back edge of this cell's move through, or perhaps maybe even move south and maybe intercept that cell that's going through Osage County, Kansas right now?
Well, I guess I'll let Mike Bettis speak to that.
Well, we've been trying to formulate a plan here. I think exactly we'll do that, Paul. That back edge of this line that we're following that is basically due east of Kansas City right now, it all extends back off to the left on the screen here. We may wait for that to come on through, the last bit of that, to see if anything does happen to tornado, and we'll be able to give you those pictures and those warnings. And then I think we still have time to get down to the west side or southwest side of Kansas City and potentially intercept the storm that's coming from Emporia. That is a very strong storm. That storm actually seems to be a lot stronger than what we're on right now, and it still is all by itself. One of these individual storms all by itself could last for a very significant amount of time, and right now we're kind of extrapolating maybe 2 hours or so. So it still gives us time to get there to intercept these storms as well as the one down there. I think we can do that.
All right, and obviously with the night vision, guys, we're able to see you guys as well as the lightning flashes across the sky, but I'm concerned that you may not actually be able to see a tornado, so it's good that you have the equipment with you. You can actually see the radar to determine exactly which way these storms are going.
Yeah, we do have that advantage to have the night vision camera to get a visual of the storms, and we have onboard radar inside of our vehicle as well, so that helps us determine which direction the storms are moving. That's very advantageous to us because we like to know where they're moving and how quickly they're moving, Dr. Forbes.
Yeah, and we're doing several things here. One, we're making sure that we're not getting within a mile of anywhere where we think there would be a tornado. Two, we're making sure that we're not getting in any position where we're going to be in a lightning danger. So we're feeling fairly safe where we are at the moment. We do, though, have a row of trees. We don't have a flat horizon that we can see all the way down to the ground. So we're not in a optimal position here to be seeing a tornado that could be off to our northwest.
And the thing about exactly where we are is this is the Missouri River Valley, and so you tend to get a lot more vegetation in these river valleys, and that's why we have the trees here. Having said that, we're in a bit of an elevated location here. We're at a farm and we're looking off to the west, but still with the tree-lined areas here, tree-lined streets, it does make it a little bit more difficult than, say, had we been out in Kansas or a place in wide open Oklahoma where you can see for miles on end.
Mike, I hate to interrupt you, but we're getting a tornado warning on that last cell on your line, Jefferson County, Kansas, under a tornado warning. It's moving northeast
that would be
at
off
35.
to the left of your screen then, Paul, and it'd be way back to the direction that we're pointed now. It'd probably be a good, gosh, I'd hate to guess right now, but several miles back still into Kansas. So thank you for the heads up. We'll keep watching that tonight, and we'll get back here on Weather Center in just a minute.
From Plant City, just north of Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, good evening to you, Paul. Good evening, Kelly. We are right here in Platte City. We're watching actually an initial storm that's closest to us that's just off to our north here. Over the trees there, you can still see what looks to be a fairly disorganized wall cloud, but still very interesting because it seems to have gone through different phases, Dr. Forbes. It looks as good now as it's looked in maybe the last half hour or so.
Yeah, it really did, and just about 2 minutes ago it had a little filament that was almost all the way to the ground, so we were using our night vision to watch it very closely to see if that was a funnel or a small tornado that was forming. It seems as if it's just another one of these rising fragments of clouds that we've been following from these storms. Certainly off to the left of this, there's a big shield of rain, so it seems like mostly we're getting a transition here between wall cloud, the rising updraft, and a shelf cloud that is the updraft that's on a little gust front of rain-cooled air that's pushing off toward the northeast.
What's been kind of interesting about all of this is we have not really felt any outflow wind from these storms. The motion of the storms is actually off to our north and east, but it's a long line that extends back from our north, where you're looking there at that wall cloud, back to the west. And you were showing it on the radar there, Paul and Kelly. Back to the west is where we have that Jefferson County warned storm. That's a tornado warned storm. The direction you're looking right now is that direction. And we think we could be about maybe 45 minutes or so from that storm. And we think we're in a perfect position where the storm may slide just to our north where the current storm is and replace that. And we think we're in a good spot, a strategic spot where we wouldn't be right in front of it, but just to the south of it, and it'll slide off to our north where we get a great visual. Dr. Forbes, the south side too will be precipitation free. Yeah,
that's right. And I was just looking, we have a wind vane and anemometer on the top of our vehicle, and we have a light, it appears to be a south east wind here still, which is inflow.
There's a look at our anemometer at the top there. So the wind is actually coming from the left side of the screen into the storm. Dr. Forbes.
Yeah, it's still inflow, not rain-cooled outflow.
Welcome back. We continue to track severe weather from Texas and Oklahoma northward into Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. The great tornado hunt does continue. We'll be checking in with those guys in just a little bit. First of all, let's show you the big picture and show you where we do have a tornado watch in effect for portions of Oklahoma until 12 o'clock midnight tonight. And as we go into Texas, no tornado warnings here, but certainly some dangerous storms. Earlier, we did have a report of a tornado near Burnett in Texas, now under a severe thunderstorm warning, as well as west central Williamson County until the top of the hour. Golf ball to baseball size hail with these storms as they are moving toward the east at 15 miles an hour. Notice how they could be impacting Interstate 35 before too long. And now we jump on up into Oklahoma, where fortunately that one cell that we were tracking that was tornadic. In fact, we did have a spotter report seeing a tornado on this one. That one has greatly diminished in size, and other severe thunderstorms going well to the south of Little Rock in southern Arkansas. Flash flooding also a concern with these storms as they are moving very slowly toward the northeast between 15 and 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, let's take a look at the big picture here. We have a big upper level low. This is the same storm system that brought all that snow, late season snow, to Colorado, Utah, even California the last several days. That system is slowly ejecting out towards the plains and giving us this risk of severe weather. You can see the spin or the twist in the atmosphere. That is what's called wind shear, or winds changing direction and speed throughout the column of the atmosphere. That sets up rotating thunderstorms. That sets up even tornadoes. And we've been dealing with it, as Kelly was mentioning, from Texas to Oklahoma, even as far north of the Twin Cities. We had a report of a tornado earlier around Medina. That cell has weakened, but we're still dealing with some heavy rain moving just to the north of the Twin Cities. And we're also concerned with heavy rain across parts of central and western Iowa. And here's this area of northwestern Missouri and eastern Kansas dealing with tornadoes at this time. In fact, you can see the tornado warning for Jefferson County. This is just to the west of Kansas City. Rotation within the thunderstorm detected by radar, but then there's the southern cell moving just to the east and northeast of Emporia, Kansas. And this is the bigger concern because this cell has a large and dangerous tornado reported with it, and it continues to race off to the north and east. Looks like it's moving more east than north at this time, so that stretch of I-35 coming out of Kansas City towards Emporia could be impacted shortly with this. We put the storm track, the timeline of the leading north edge of this system. If it continues moving to the northeast, it'll be heading on towards Olathe at just after 11 o'clock local time, 11:45 into Kansas City, and even Blue Spring just after about a quarter after midnight tonight. That's when this supercell, right now tornadic supercell, could be headed your way if it holds together. But it's not just tonight. We're also concerned with another night of severe weather and day of severe weather as we head throughout Sunday.
We are also looking at severe weather right where our great tornado hunt team is located. We just got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Atchison, Leavenworth, Buchanan, and Platte County. They're in Platte City in Missouri, and this is again the area just to the north of Kansas City where we're seeing some large hail. And of course our crew, they are on the go right now. They are seeking shelter because they are now under a severe thunderstorm warning. They've got that other tornadic cell that is moving in their general direction as well that could be upon them between 35 and 40 after the hour. So again, there they are. They're in the car. They're on the go. Mike Bettis and Dr. Greg Forbes. Can you hear us, guys?
Yeah, we can, Kelly. I think we've decided that we're going to get run over by this storm that's coming right over I-29 right now. We're back in the cars. We're going to go south to get out of the heavy precip and hail. We don't want to get pounded by hail tonight. We potentially could damage some equipment. We may intercept then that tornado-warned storm that is over there in Jefferson County, and then potentially could go farther south of Kansas City, intercept that next storm that's coming in from Emporia. So we'll keep you updated. We're going to get on the move here actually right now.
All right, guys, you stay safe. Watch out for the hail that could be associated with these cells as well. Penny-sized to quarter-sized hail, also a possibility with those same thunderstorms.
Again, that's Mike Bettis and Dr. Greg Forbes are on the Great Tornado Hunt. And the whole object of this is not just to give some pictures, great TV. It's to learn more about what storms produce and what storms do not produce tornadoes, so we can give you a better warning of severe weather. Basically a huge research project, and we will continue to bring it to you live here on Weather Center Live. We are with you tonight to track severe weather across the middle of the country, from the plains of Texas all the way up into Missouri and Kansas, where the Great Tornado Hunt crew, they are looking at a thunderstorm in particular that may be tornadic within the next half hour. Right now, we want to take out a little radar tour and start you off here in the south, and then we'll work our way toward the north. We're going to start off in Texas, where we continue to follow some severe thunderstorms that could be producing golf ball to baseball size hail. Note these cells here that are circled with the yellow. That's Burnett County, where earlier we had a tornado warning in effect. Now a severe thunderstorm warning, west central Williamson County until 10 o'clock central. And these other thunderstorms just to the north of Waco may be impacting I-35 as well. Now we head over into southern Arkansas. We've been tracking these thunderstorms for you as well, possibly putting down some large hail as well as some damaging winds. So you can see where we do have the severe thunderstorms going there. Just to the south of Little Rock, again, watch out for some flooding on some of the roadways as well. And then we work our way to the north, where we are under a severe thunderstorm watch for portions of Iowa, eastern Nebraska, including Omaha, and down towards Kansas City. Now, even though this is a severe thunderstorm watch, we are finding some tornadoes developing out there. Right, and again, it's severe thunderstorms that produce tornadoes. Let's take a look at the overall viewpoint. You can see the rotation within this area. Again, it's a counterclockwise rotation. That's low pressure, but that spin, see how it's spinning? Well, that spin helps to form severe thunderstorms, supercell thunderstorms, even tornadic thunderstorms, and that is what we've been dealing with for quite some time tonight. And you can see the Twin Cities, we actually had a tornado on the west side of town probably about 4 or 5 hours ago. That cell has weakened, but still heavy rain now moving into western portions of Wisconsin. But we're also watching more heavy rain moving into the southwest corner of Minnesota. Eventually that will head on towards the Twin Cities area as we head overnight into probably the pre-dawn hours, and also heavy rain rolling across parts of western Iowa and into Des Moines right now, as well as parts of northwestern and northern Missouri and eastern Kansas. Eastern Kansas, we've had our fair share of severe weather tonight, and it's still going on. Watching two separate cells for tornadoes, one just due west of Kansas City, the Kansas City airport. That's Jefferson County, Kansas, under a tornado warning until 10:30 local time. Another half hour for you. That's moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. And then that cell off to the south and west of Kansas City into eastern Kansas there to the east of Emporia. That cell, we're talking about Osage, Douglas, and Franklin counties now, all under tornado warnings. Spotters are tracking a tornado with this system as it continues to move on towards the east now at 35 miles per hour. If you're watching us last 20 minutes or so, this cell was supposed to move to the northeast. Now it's moving more due east, and we're talking about that. And take a look at the close-up viewpoint. This is heading straight on towards Interstate 35, even the town of Ottawa, Kansas. This cell is headed your way. It looks like it should stay south of Kansas City. We put the timeline on this. The leading edge of this supercell, as it continues moving eastward, will head on towards the Palmyra area around 10:30 local time. Another half hour for you. Olathe at just after 11 o'clock, 11:30. Overland Park, Lee's Summit, Missouri. Just before midnight, this cell is headed your way. This is the northern side of this storm. The southern side also, watch out in Valley and Deer Creek, as well as Harrisonville. Again, this is a pretty large supercell thunderstorm that continues to build both eastward and a little bit back towards the westward. Not quite fully out of eastern Lyon County, so definitely don't put your guard down at all. But again, Globe, Centropolis, Ottawa, Rantoul, Baldwin City, Wellsville, all areas that could be impacted, as well as Interstate 35 between mile markers 174 and 198. If you know someone out there traveling, definitely hit them on the cell phone. Tell them, yeah, this is not the night to be driving on this stretch of I-35. This is an extreme eastern Kansas heading on to basically between Emporia and Kansas City. That's probably the no travel zone right now.
Yeah, and right now, speaking of traveling, our great tornado hunt crew, Mike Bettis and Dr. Greg Forbes, as well as the rest of the scientists who are doing research on tornadoes, they had to get in their cars and basically get out of harm's way. They had a thunderstorm just on the north side of Kansas City. We've been following that. In fact, the county that they're in, Platte County, now under a severe thunderstorm warning, as well as Buchanan, Leavenworth, and Atchison counties. And Paul, if that cell in Jefferson County were to hold together, that is the one that they are hoping to intersect. We want to take them live and see exactly where they are right now. Oh.
Yeah, this is kind of recap of what they saw just a couple of hours ago there in eastern Kansas and western Missouri.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Great Tornado Hunt. We are following storms here just north of Kansas City. We're in Platte City, Missouri, following a storm, and we're showing it to you on night vision camera, visibly lit up here by lightning. Leading edge here, just off to the right of your screen, by the pole there, is the shelf cloud. In behind that was where we potentially could see a tornado. Dr. Forbes with us. Dr. Forbes, potentially scud cloud, which would be kind of a fooler for a funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. And that shelf cloud that's where the warm air out ahead of the storm is being lifted up over some rain cooled air. That's the outflow of the storm. And that shelf cloud, it's that angling, it looks like a bit of a snowplow right in behind the telephone pole there.
Whoa.
And it, for the moment there, we thought it was a tornado because it is almost all the way right down to the ground.
We cannot actually see it unless the lightning flashes, but our night vision, you should be able to get a nice good visual on it. Believe it or not, the storm behind this is the one that actually may be bigger and stronger. We'll stay in position here. We're going to follow it for you. These storms could be cycling, could be in a weaker form right now, and then working their way across I-29 from Kansas into Missouri. Dr. Forbes, there still is great danger at night.
Absolutely. The danger at night from tornadoes is much greater than it is in the daytime because you can't see it coming, and this is one monstrous shelf cloud that is almost all the way to the ground. It looks like a dinosaur advancing on the horizon there.
That is almost touching the ground, and the lightning actually is getting a little bit closer. There's going to come a point here. Actually, now we've got thunder over. All right, we're going to probably have to get everyone back into their cars into safety here. We don't want anyone but struck by lightning.
Yeah, that was a little while ago. Again, they got in their cars and decided actually to move southward. There's another heavy cell headed their way. They might even intercept that potential tornadic thunderstorm right now in Jefferson County, Kansas, heading eastward across the Missouri River into Missouri.
All right, so we're going to check in with those guys. Of course, they got the night vision out, so we're able to see them and see the lightning that's flashing all around them as well. Now, earlier we did have reports of damage, by the way, to a mobile home park in the eastern part of Kansas. This was in Lakeside Village in eastern Kansas, so there was a search and rescue going on there. We were speaking to a storm chaser a little while ago who's actually helping in that search and rescue, and we hope to have more information on that coming up. But that just goes to show you that we have had confirmation of damage from an actual tornado in Kansas.
Very dangerous night tonight, and it's not over as we head throughout this weekend. Take a look at the radar right now. We're still watching Kansas City for a lot of action north and south, and perhaps even just the northern stretches of downtown could be affected as well. But let's take a look at Sunday's outlook. Kansas City, we're not done yet. St. Louis and up towards Chicago, Detroit, even as far east as Pittsburgh could be dealing with severe weather, but also across Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, and into Texas. The good news is Texas, you get that rain. The bad news is we have the risk of tornadoes like we're seeing right now.
And speaking of tornadoes, let's see what our chances of seeing tornadoes will be as we head into the second half of the weekend. Of course, the great tornado hunt will continue as well. And even though Dr. Greg Forbes is out there in the field tracking these storms, he is also providing us with this information. This is exclusive to the Weather Channel, showing you what our chances are of seeing twisters within a 50-mile area. And Dr. Forbes giving it a 4 out of 10, which means a 40% chance of seeing tornadoes there in the northeastern parts of Kansas. Also a 4 out of 10 as we head a little bit more toward the north. Hard to see there. I think that's southern Wisconsin, and that basically means a 40% chance of seeing tornadoes within 50 miles. And you can see it's also 4 for this general area across the plains as we head into the second half of the weekend. So that means we're going to be mainly watching out for damaging winds as well as that large hail, but you can't rule out the tornadoes in a situation like this.
Well, let's take you to Oklahoma. This is southern Oklahoma, Pontotoc County, and we read reports earlier from Justin Drake and Simon Brewer, 2 stars of the hit series Storm Riders here in the Weather Channel, who were tracking these tornadoes. Again, they reported multiple vortex tornadoes and multiple funnel clouds and multiple tornadoes as they were heading up tracking this storm here in Pontotoc. I believe this is Pontotoc, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that should be Oklahoma.
And reports of numerous tornadoes. Looks like a tornado, could be a funnel cloud, but definitely at very least a funnel cloud, but possibly
hard to see if it's all the way down the ground or not, but obviously the tornado threat has diminished here in Oklahoma. No warnings at this time, but we'll continue to monitor it as we go through the night. Stay with us here on Weather Center Live.
Well, we're still tracking severe weather here on Weather Center Live. You can take a look at our radar. Right now, we're still tracking a tornado, a large, dangerous tornado that has been spotted here in Douglas, Franklin, and Osage counties here. So tornado warnings for all 3 of those counties. And it continues to move just to the south of Kansas City. It's moving east now at 35 miles per hour. You need to take shelter immediately in Pomona, Globe, Centropolis, Ottawa, Rantoul, Baldwin City, Wellsville, as well as Interstate 35. It's moving across that interstate between mile markers 174 and 198. That's a 24-mile stretch of Interstate 35 will be impacted for at least the next, I'd say a conservative estimate will be at least the next hour. You could be dealing with this supercell thunderstorm. Now, if you have a basement, that's the best place for you to get underground. If you don't, if you're in a mobile home, evacuate immediately. One mobile home just to the west of there in Lakeside and Lake Perry there in Kansas was hit by a tornado. This is just east of Topeka earlier. Again, this cell is now south of Topeka. Topeka, you're in the clear from this cell. But Kansas City, north and south side, especially the south side, we're concerned with this cell, and also heavy rain moving on the north side of Kansas City as we speak. And not to mention heavy rain across the area. We could see flash flooding become an issue as we have heavy rain tonight and also into your Sunday in the forecast.
All right, check out the big picture now. We can see where we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect from the Minnesota-Iowa border down into the eastern part of Kansas, where, by the way, our great tornado hunt crew, they are seeking shelter. They're counting County, Platte County, under a severe thunderstorm warning. The National Weather Service just extended that, by the way, until 10:45. We dive on into Texas, where we're also watching out for severe weather. Note how there's that little white showing up in the middle of that thunderstorm. That is some large hail being detected here. We continue to watch this cell around Coryell and Lampasas counties, impacting Adamsville as well as Pitcoke and Topsy. This severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10:30 Central Time. It is moving toward the east at about 20 miles an hour. So large hail capable of doing damage. We're talking baseball-sized hail potentially with this particular thunderstorm, and it just may impact Interstate 35 if it holds together. Also into Arkansas, we are watching out for some severe weather here as well. It's been a very busy night, that's for sure, and we continue to have these cells also moving very slowly, producing flash flooding. Dallas, Grant, Hot Spring counties under a severe thunderstorm warning, including Leola and Princeton, until 10:15 Central Time. We move it on up into Iowa. We've got several counties now in the south central part of the state. Appanoose, Lucas, and Monroe, Wayne counties also under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. So this basically means quarter-size hail for you. Winds in excess of 60 miles an hour being found with this storm as well. And you can see that is just to the east of Interstate 35. But as you can see, there's St. Joseph in the northern part of Missouri, Kansas City as well. Right between St. Joseph and Kansas City, that's where our great tornado hunt crew, Dr. Greg Forbes and Mike Bettis, have been chasing these storms, and they had to basically get in the car and get out of harm's way because of some dangerous storms moving right overhead.
Yeah, I want to show you some pictures from earlier tonight because you mentioned our great tornado hunt, and this is our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes and Mike Bettis, as they were into portions of, I guess that's what, Plant City? Where were they?
Platte City in Kansas.
In Kansas, in Missouri, just as they were watching a potential tornadic thunderstorm.
That sometimes storms like this that are rotating this broadly will have more than one circulation center. So we're seeing the south edge of it. That doesn't necessarily mean that there couldn't be a tornado hidden within the rain that we aren't seeing. So just because we're not seeing a tornado all the way to the ground doesn't mean there isn't one here. It's just one that we are not seeing. We can't be sure that there's not one hidden by rain inside.
Let's show you some video from Grandville, Kansas. Again, that we've been dealing with a lot of severe weather across this part of Kansas, and we've talked to so many people tonight.
We had a storm chaser basically tell us what the situation was there, spotting a funnel cloud. We want to take a look at some of the pictures that he took, and you can see clearly a funnel cloud that was forming. Look at that, multiple funnels actually.
Right, and here's the thing with funnel clouds, people say, oh, it's just funnel cloud, it's just a long time before the tornado will develop. Not exactly. I think the funnel cloud is just the condensation as you have that low pressure, reducing the air pressure, getting the water vapor to condense into the clouds. Yeah, it's very technical, but you just see it. It doesn't mean the winds are not already on the ground. So many times you actually have the tornadic winds rotating and swirling and doing some damage on the ground, but you only see maybe half of the condensation funnel. So treat funnel clouds with the same respect that you should and need to treat tornadoes as well. Now, looking at back to the Max 1 radar, we're definitely concerned about the storms around eastern Kansas. And you can see the two kind of outlined red areas. Those are tornado warnings for Osage, Douglas, and Franklin counties. I just put a new storm track on the leading edge of this line. Also, by the way, notice how more rain and thunderstorms popping up on that southwest corner of that loop in Kansas City, Kansas. Eventually that's going to head right on through downtown. So hey, Kansas City, yeah, it's starting as we speak. Not to mention that Jefferson County cell is moving across the river into the Platte County area as well. But let's turn the storms track on this. You can see this is the southern supercell. This is the one that has or has had a tornado on it. It's heading on into Spring Hill by 10:56. 1129, that's Belton, Missouri, headed your way. Lee's Summit, Missouri. We can see the northern edge of this side. This is the supercell. Doesn't mean the rain. The rain is probably starting right now in Lee's Summit. Even Grain Valley headed your way just after midnight local time. So Kansas City, the storms are popping up right now, and they're going to be with you for a while.
And let's take everybody into Platte City in Missouri. This is north of Kansas City, where, of course, our great tornado hunt crew was just a little while ago, capturing this video in night vision. Look at that. They were looking at a possible tornado developing here. It's kind of hard to see if it is all the way to the ground or not because of the tree cover there, but look at all that dangerous lightning. For a while there, they had to duck into their car to get away from that dangerous lightning, and of course they're on the move once again just to get out of harm's way.
And we're listening to them during the commercial when this came up, and they were thinking they had a tornado, but as it got closer to them, it looked like it was a wall cloud, a lowering of the cloud base. When you have the trees obscuring it, it definitely looks like a huge wedge tornado, but I believe it was just a wall cloud.
Yeah, hard to tell there, but again, we're going to continue to cover this severe weather for you live here on Weather Center as we track these dangerous storms. Stay with us here. All right, we have breaking news regarding severe weather here in Kansas today. We're monitoring the Twitter feed, and according to WIBW, they are reporting injuries and damage in Redding, Kansas, according possibly a tornado touchdown there. We'll continue to bring you more information as it becomes available, but we've already heard of some damage, according to one of our storm chasers, to a mobile home park where a search and rescue is going on in Lakeside Village, that also in Kansas.
Yeah, that's just one of at least 12 reports of tornadoes so far tonight that we've been dealing with. And we're still concerned with a supercell. This is off to the south and west of Kansas City, and it's rapidly on the move to the east, around 30 miles per hour. But also take a look at the radar. You can see now we're seeing thunderstorms erupt right into Kansas City, Kansas, and that is about to move across the river. So yeah, Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, you will be impacted for quite some time with this cell.
Yeah.
And we have a supercell off to your south and west. This one has produced a large and dangerous tornado.
Yeah, before we go to your close-up view on your Max, Paul, I just want to mention our Tornado Hunt crew. They just tweeted a little while ago at Tornado Hunt, by the way, if you want to follow them. They are driving through a fierce thunderstorm right now, reporting a lot of strong wind, lightning, and very heavy rain. So that's why we're not, is that them now? Okay, that's a live look coming to us now from our great Tornado Hunt crew, Mike Bettis and Dr. Greg Forbes. Obviously very dark out there, but they are basically on the road getting away from a very heavy thunderstorm at the moment.
Yeah, and sometimes that rain will interrupt their signal as well. Let's head to Max 1 right now. We can show you this, the supercell we're tracking. Right now we have a tornado warning for Osage, Douglas, Franklin counties. Again, this cell has produced at least one, if not multiple tornadoes, one large and dangerous reported earlier, and it continues to roll on towards the east. But notice ahead of it, perhaps that's the outflow popping up more thunderstorms in Kansas City. So Kansas City, the storms are upon you, and the tornadic thunderstorms could develop at any point. Remember, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That means you can see even tornadoes under a severe thunderstorm watch.
We continue our live coverage until midnight Central. All right, check this out. Look at this picture. One of our storm chasers capturing a tornado in progress in Pontotoc, Oklahoma. This is earlier this evening before the sun went down, but obviously it's hard to see if it's all the way down the ground, but it certainly looks like it could be a tornado there in central Oklahoma, where earlier we were under a tornado watch, but right now it looks like the severe threat is diminishing across Oklahoma, so some good news to report there. But earlier, our storm chasers, they were capturing it all here in Pontotoc, Oklahoma. We're going to take you on a little radar tour.
Yeah, welcome back to Weather Center Live. I'm Paul Goodlow along with Kelly Cass. We've been with you for the last 4 or 5 hours now. We'll continue to keep you updated on the radar. And you talked about the threat in Oklahoma and Texas diminishing for tonight. But again, we'll fire it up again tomorrow. But other parts of the country are still very, very active right now. Yeah,
let's start you off with a big picture. And you'll note that the tornado watch is no longer there in Oklahoma, where, of course, we were tracking that tornadic cell in Pontotoc, which is located right in here. So thank goodness the storms are basically dwindling away across Oklahoma. Not so in Texas. Just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. You're looking just to the west, southwest of Waco, where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Coryell County and Lampasas County. They were earlier under a warning as well. Now under a severe warning. There could be hail up to the size of golf balls moving toward the east at about 20 miles an hour. So again, be away from your windows. You can actually see the little white showing up there in the middle of that thunderstorm. That is indicating some of that large hail being detected in that severe thunderstorm. Now we move on up into Arkansas. We've also been tracking some severe weather here as well. You'll note where Little Rock is. It's just to the southwest of Little Rock, and if we put a query on that, we can actually see the counties that are involved there: Dallas, Grant, Hot Spring, and Saline counties under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. So if that holds together, that could certainly impact the great city of Little Rock. And then as we move on up into the Iowa area, eastern Nebraska, this is where we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. And Paul, we are still seeing some tornadic cells in the eastern part of Kansas.
Yeah, take a look at the overall rotation, the big gyre in the atmosphere that's spinning. That is helping to give us severe thunderstorms, supercell thunderstorms, and not to mention the risk of tornadoes. And we can show you here, yeah, we even have the risk of damaging straight line winds blasting on through parts of Iowa as well as Missouri here. Some winds have reported over 50, 60 miles per hour. The Twin Cities, we had a tornado a couple of hours ago on the west side of town. That has diminished. The cells are now pushing into western Wisconsin tonight. Nothing severe, but definitely deadly and dangerous. Lightning still with those. A few severe thunderstorms in the southwestern Minnesota area, as well as central Iowa, seeing a few strong and severe thunderstorms. Watch out for damaging wind, not to mention lightning with those cells. And then we head on towards Kansas City, like you mentioned, Kelly, to the southwest of Kansas City. Osage, Douglas, Franklin counties, tornado warnings for you. We've had a report of a tornado. In fact, I want to zoom in first just to the Kansas City area. Look at this, downtown, boom. The last half hour or so, a thunderstorm has just blown up right over downtown right now. That is not severe, but just north of there where our great tornado hunt was, that's Platte County, still under a severe thunderstorm warning. That's moving right over the Kansas City International Airport there. But also I want to drift off just to the south a little bit, and you can see every now and then a big kind of white flash there just to the west of Ottawa. That's large hail. We could see perhaps baseball, maybe even larger hail with this system. This is a supercell, which looks like it's building southward towards the Key West area, but also right over Interstate 35. I've put on a timeline here of pushing this on towards the east. It's moving east around 35 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour, and it continues to bring in Gardner, Kansas at 10:53, Olathe into 11:09, Belton 11:36 is Belton, Missouri, and even Garden City, Missouri just after midnight. So again, looks like this supercell is going to try to stay south of Kansas City, but has no guarantee. It continues to build and grow even larger. So the Kansas City metro area, yeah, we're getting hit pretty hard right now and will continue for at least the next hour to two.
And even if a tornado does not develop, watch out for very dangerous winds as well as large hail. The threat is still not quite done yet for tonight. We'll continue to bring you live coverage.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live. You're looking at a video from earlier near St. Joseph, Missouri of the great tornado hunt. Mike Bettis and Dr. Rick Forbes out in the field tracking severe weather as it rolled from Kansas into Missouri.
And here's what they experienced.
Right into the wall clouds.
And that has obscured the funnel that was right in there. That's what happens. You get a little bit of extra rotation, a little bit extra updraft, and that's like a skater. As that air rises, it pulls in laterally, and that allows the rotation to concentrate a little bit.
All right, so obviously they are finding some very strong thunderstorms out there on the plains. It's been everywhere from Minnesota all the way down into Texas, right there in the middle of the country. The overall severe threat is diminishing somewhat, but we're still following some very active weather. Eastern Kansas, where we continue to have the only tornado warnings at this time.
But also that entire region under a severe thunderstorm watch. And even just under a severe thunderstorm watch, you can still experience tornadoes. So don't think, oh, it's just a severe thunderstorm watch. It's not a tornado watch. Yeah, severe thunderstorms produce tornadoes, and the Kansas City area, that's kind of the bullseye of what's happening right now. As Kelly mentioned, there's our counties there in eastern Kansas. Osage, Douglas, Franklin counties all under tornado warnings till 11 o'clock. That's another half hour for you. There has been tornadoes reported with this cell. We're also concerned just north of the airport there, Platte County in Missouri under a severe thunderstorm warning. But look at downtown Kansas City. Thunderstorms have popped up right over you, and they continue to bring some damaging winds as well as the potential for hail and heavy rain. Again, flash flooding is an ongoing concern. Storms dumping rain over the same areas, and then back towards those tornadic thunderstorm cells. They are racing off to the east around 30, 35 miles per hour, and we're hoping it won't build into the metro area, but the southern side of the metro area will be affected by this, no doubt. You can see the timeline here getting on towards Belton, Missouri by 11:36, so you have another hour there. But that's just until this line gets your way. Looks like the downtown line is building your way, so you're probably getting rain right now in this part of, I guess, western Missouri. Yeah,
take these warnings seriously, folks. We've had reports of injuries and possible damage in Redding, Kansas. That's according to IBW, according to the Twitter feed right now. So again, we'll monitor what's going on here in Kansas, but we've also got other strong thunderstorms that are popping elsewhere across the country. We take you now into Texas, where as we zoom in on this particular cell, note that little white white shaded area right in the middle of that thunderstorm. That indicates some pretty large hail, possibly golf ball to baseball size hail in Coryell County and Lampasas County, moving toward the east at 20 miles an hour. Large hail likely with these storms. Seek shelter immediately, and if that thunderstorm holds together, that could certainly impact Interstate 35. Now we slide on over into Arkansas, where these thunderstorms are really not moving all that much either. So flash flooding is a concern with these cells, and you can see where we have a severe thunderstorm warning. Those counties that are circled in yellow, portions of Dallas, Grant, Hot Spring, and Saline counties in Arkansas under a severe thunderstorm warning. And if that were to hold together, that could certainly impact the downtown area of Little Rock within the next half hour to 45 minutes. Now we take you out to the broad picture. We've had severe weather in Kentucky tonight. As you can see, the severe thunderstorm watch does continue from Omaha down towards Kansas City, and that doesn't mean you can't get a tornado even though it's a severe thunderstorm watch. As Paul was just tracking for you, we are tracking those tornadic cells in eastern Kansas, and of course our great tornado hunt crew, Mike Bettis and Dr. Greg Forbes, we were with them earlier, but because of all the dangerous lightning and the thunderstorm basically moving right overhead there in Platte City, Missouri, we had to go away from them for a little while.
And speaking of Platte City, we have video from earlier tonight as our crew was watching the storms move on in there.
Yeah, there it is. Looks like they were looking at a tornado that was at least trying to get its act together. It's hard to tell with the tree line if it was actually all the way to the ground or not, but occasionally with the lightning flashing, you can certainly see something that looks like a tornado developing.
Right, we're listening to them during our commercial break, and they were trying to get right back onto air because it had it looked like a tornado from that vantage point. But as the storm got closer, the clouds got closer, it looked more like just a wall cloud, not a tornado. So especially now, the sun has set. It is difficult to see out there. You're watching this video. It is shot with a night vision camera, so it can pick up this the faintest amounts of light out there and giving us this view here. It's much more difficult to tell by the naked eye unless you have the lightning flashing up the clouds like you're seeing it every now and then. So it's dangerous out there, people. And when you have a warning, it is scrolling on the bottom of your screen. If you're watching us on cable, you need to heed the warnings. You know this part of the world. You know the drills. You need to get underground if you're at a tornado warning.
And here is a look at our Sunday forecast. It looks like Mike Bettis and the crew, they may have another chase day as we head into Sunday, although getting into more populated areas, and this tends to be tricky too with the terrain and the trees and all that kind of thing too. So for Sunday, anywhere from the thumb of Michigan back towards Chicago, St. Louis could be looking at severe weather, including damaging winds and large hail, isolated tornadoes a possibility, even down into Texas, all the way to the Mexican border. We're going to be tracking the possibility of severe weather as we head into the second half of the weekend. But now specifically for tornadoes, Dr. Greg Forbes, our severe weather expert, even though he's out in the field tracking these storms with the Great Tornado Hunt, he is also looking at all the ingredients to bring you the exclusive Tornado Condition Index, showing you that area shaded in the red first of all, and now we get specific with as far as what the chances for tornadoes are within a 50-mile area. Southeastern Kansas giving it a 4 out of 10, so basically a 40% chance of seeing tornadoes here, even into southern Wisconsin. Watch out, there could be tornadoes where you are, about a 40% chance, and basically all fours for the Torcon as we head into Sunday. Checking out northern and western Illinois, including Chicago, we could certainly be looking at some isolated tornadoes popping up here as well.
Yeah, don't think 4 is a low number because we had 4s today. We had 3s and 4s today, and we've already had at least a dozen reports of tornadoes, and several of them have been confirmed as well. And again, to take a look at Granville, Kansas. This is a picture of actually this is video of a rotating wall cloud here, and looks like funnel clouds, multiple funnel clouds are developing here, and can't quite tell with the vantage point here whether they're actually touching the ground or not, but we definitely see rotation and the funnel clouds descending. We could be looking at a tornado right now. Again, sometimes you don't see the entire funnel cloud touching the ground, but you actually do have the tornadic winds. But you can see just how turbulent the atmosphere has been, and we'll see, unfortunately, more of this as we head into your Sunday.
All right, taking a little bit of a break from the severe weather coverage, we want to show you your forecast as we head into Sunday and show you how it could be impacting your travel plans. There's a look at those thunderstorms from the upper Midwest and the northern plains all the way down into Texas. Isolated storms still hanging in there across the mid-Atlantic and portions of the Northeast as well. So this is an area where we could see some potential delays. We're talking Minneapolis. Of course, you were hit hard today with a possible tornado. Hennepin County for a while there was under a tornado warning. Moderate delays possible where you are. Chicago, if you're traveling through here. Moderate delays are a possibility. Cincinnati as well. Even Detroit. We've got some strong thunderstorms in your forecast down into the Nashville area, and just so many areas that will be impacted by some stormy weather, and that could certainly slow you down either on the roads or at the airports.
Yeah, and Sunday, a busy travel day. Again, graduation coming up, proms, and even school years being wrapped up in some instances, kids trying to get back home. So if you have the option of perhaps moving to an earlier flight in the morning, you might want to do that, because when you head to the heat of the afternoon, we'll see a lot of thunderstorms, and it's going to be also a very bumpy ride if you're going perhaps across the Midwest. And if you're a skittish flyer, you know, perhaps, you know, what do you call it, PM, Tylenol PM or something to make you sleep, because it's going to be a very, yeah, if you're air sick as well, it's going to be a very bumpy ride for you. Another aspect that we haven't talked a lot about, but definitely top of mind with all the flooding going on across the lower Mississippi, is the heavy rain aspect with this system, and it's going to move a lot of heavy rain back into the same areas that are dealing with record rains from just a month or two ago.
Right.
That's all across the Midwest. You can take a look at the radar right now. We're also dealing with a risk of some flash flooding currently with the heavy rain blasting on through Missouri and Kansas and over the same areas. But as we showed you earlier, here's Sunday's forecast. Look at where all the red is. And we're talking the Ohio Valley into the middle Mississippi River Valley areas that had dealt with flooding. Guess what? We can see some areas as we go through Sunday into Monday pick up 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches of rain on saturated ground. That will cause a lot more concern than the flood areas.
All right, stay with us. Our live coverage of severe weather continues.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live. We are tracking severe weather across the Midwest. In fact, we've seen tornadoes from portions of Texas all the way into the Twin Cities in Minnesota tonight. And take a look at the bigger picture. You see the counterclockwise rotation. This is helping to give us and trigger severe weather across the central U.S. We still have a severe thunderstorm watch out for portions of Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Iowa through 11 o'clock local time. And we're still dealing with strong and severe thunderstorms. In fact, let's zoom on into portions of northwestern Kansas. Here's what we're talking about, the heavy rain. Take a look at this. This is the radar estimate of how much rain has fallen over the last 3 hours. You can see some of the yellows and even some of the oranges. It corresponds to that legend up top. Many areas 3 or more inches of rain. That's just in 3 hours. And guess what? Those storms continue to march upon Kansas City. And notice how we have a second line moving past Emporia right along that I-35 spur heading into the southern side of Kansas City. That also is dumping 3 inches or more of rain over the last several hours. I'll show you the live radar. We're still concerned here towards the Emporia area east of you. We're talking about Douglas and Franklin counties as well as Osage County under tornado warnings. There has been a tornado spotted with this large and dangerous tornado earlier, and we're still dealing with some heavy rain on the north side of Kansas City. The Kansas City metro area, just over the last hour, a thunderstorm has popped up and rolled on through there pretty quickly. This is just the beginning of a long and stormy night. Again, you can look back towards that supercell. As of now, it appears as though the bulk of it might try to stay south of Kansas City downtown, but we can't rule out potential of this drifting northward. We have to push this timeline forward, but definitely as we head over the next hour and a half to 2 hours, this will be moving into Missouri and into the southern side of the Kansas City metro area. But we're not done. We head towards Sunday. Guess what? More chances of severe weather. We're talking large hail. Even today, had reports of baseball-sized hail in some locations. We're talking from Del Rio, Texas, up towards Dallas. We could definitely use that rain, but we also have the risk of tornadoes, damaging wind and hail with this system, as well as the risk of severe weather back across St. Louis, into Chicago, even to Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Cleveland, Detroit, Toledo, Columbus, Ohio, Louisville, Memphis, even Nashville could see more severe weather. Let's take a look at the forecast. We can kind of move this forward as we head throughout the morning. Pretty quiet except for the upper Midwest right under a low. And then, boom, this fires up towards St. Louis towards the afternoon hours, and it's going to march right into the Ohio Valley. So we have another stormy Sunday ahead of us, including the risk of tornadoes and damaging winds.
All right, we're also talking about damaging winds in Minnesota tonight. As a matter of fact, new severe thunderstorm warnings just coming in from the National Weather Service here. So let's take on up into west central Minnesota, where we are tracking these dangerous storms here. You can see the reds and oranges on our radar. Chippewa County, Pope County, northwestern Grandville County, Stevens and Swift counties under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. We zoom in a little bit closer here. We'll show you where these where it's impacting Benson, Morris, Glenwood, Appleton, as well as Big Bend City. We're also looking at severe thunderstorm warnings in south central Minnesota for Brown County, northwestern Martin County, east central Redwood, and Watonwan under a severe thunderstorm warning until 11:45 Central Time. So again, these could be producing quarter-size hail, winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, and these cells are generally moving toward the east at about 30 miles per hour. So again, if these were to hold together, that means certain areas will be impacted, like Mankato. Certainly some of these other areas just to the south of Minneapolis could be impacted as well. So again, watching out for severe weather in all these areas that's circled in yellow. This is where we've got some rough weather here: Wilmar, Hutchinson, Buffalo, and if it holds together, Minneapolis for this particular thunderstorm at 2:52 Central Time. Watch out for damaging winds and possibly some large hail with these thunderstorms.
And we're also on the Great Tornado Hunt again this year, trying to track down information about what does not form tornadoes with some of these thunderstorms. And again, our team was out in St. Joseph, Missouri earlier as they were tracking possible tornadic thunderstorm in that area.
That sometimes storms like this that are rotating this broadly will have more than one circulation center. So we're seeing the south edge of it. That doesn't necessarily mean that there couldn't be a tornado hidden within the rain that we aren't seeing. So just because we're not seeing a tornado all the way to the ground doesn't mean there isn't one here. It's just one that we are not seeing. We can't be sure that there's not one hidden by rain inside.
All right, again, our Great Tornado Hunt. They have been busy out there in the plains. Look at all the cars involved with this hunt. A lot of research being done to hopefully give more warning time in the future and save more lives in the future, especially given what happened in Alabama. Just a terrible thing that tornadoes can just do so much destruction.
Right, in a very short amount of time as well. And we don't think that tonight is anything like that caliber, or even tomorrow on that caliber, but it's still going to be on the dangerous side. And again, if a tornado affects you, it's a big deal for you. So it doesn't matter, how many people. If it affects one person, it is a big deal to them. Now, looking at the radar right now around the St. Joseph area, we're still dealing with some rain showers and some thunderstorms, although the bulk of the severe weather looks like it's continuing to push off just to the east of you. Yeah,
we're talking about severe thunderstorms. Fortunately, dying down just a little bit. It doesn't look like those counties are circled any longer to the north of Kansas City, but still watching that one tornadic cell right along Interstate 35 now. Looks like it's going to be impacting I-35 to the southwest of Kansas City. So again, a tornado warning continuing there for Osage County, Douglas County, and also Franklin County until the top of the hour. So strong rotation still being detected here just to the west of Pomona and moving toward the east at 35 miles an hour.
And also, we're seeing more severe weather in Texas. So I'm going to zoom out my radar a little bit. We just had a tornado warning into the hill country. This has been the target zone for a lot of severe weather throughout the evening. This is all to the west of Interstate 35. It's been between most of the day between Austin and Waco this evening. Lampasas County under a tornado warning. It is affecting the city of Lampasas pretty much now through 11 o'clock local time. Doppler radar is indicating rotation. That's the first sign that we could see a developing tornado 9 miles north of Lampasas, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. Not to mention, we have large hail. We're talking not only baseball, maybe even close to softball size hail. 3 inches in diameter is likely. You can see some of the whites showing up here. That's signs of very large hail within this thunderstorm. Immensely strong updrafts to have to support this type of hail structure. And that could be even more damaging than just the winds with this, because again, the hail that size can put holes in your roof, not to mention kill people. I believe it was at least 10 years ago, there was a pizza delivery guy, I think in the Fort Worth area, that was killed by softball-sized hail coming down. Again, it's dark out there, it's nighttime. The best thing to do is to seek shelter inside, and if you can, a basement, that's the best place for you. Lampasas County, eastern Lampasas County, under a tornado warning through 11:30 local time.
All right, stay with us. Our severe weather coverage continues here. We are preempting programming to bring this to you live. And of course, we'll be checking in with our Great Tornado Hunt, see what they're going to be up to as we head into tomorrow.
We're coming back in about 90 seconds. Stick around.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live. Here is a look earlier at Hiawatha, Kansas, where the great tornado hunt. They were on the hunt for severe weather, and they certainly found it here and there across eastern Kansas as well as northwestern Missouri. They found perhaps a funnel cloud developing, and then of course they turned on the night vision as the sun set, and they had a lot of dangerous lightning, and they also experienced some hail. Just got a tweet from the tornado hunt crew, by the way. They are heading to Olathe, Kansas via I-435 to check out some severe weather in the eastern part of Kansas, and that is indeed where we've been tracking most of the severe weather tonight, but we do have an update for you on severe weather in Texas right now.
Yeah, in Texas, we do have Lampasas County under tornado warning, and also now in Missouri, it's a severe thunderstorm warning for Caldwell and Clinton County, and we're still dealing with the risk of tornadoes across eastern Kansas. We're still watching Osage as well as Douglas and Franklin counties, all under tornado warnings at this time.
All right, so there's a look at eastern Kansas where we're still looking out for some rough weather here. You know, tornadoes, they can develop very quickly, so don't wait for it. Obviously, it's dark outside. You're not going to be able to see it anyway. You want to be in your safe place right now, down the lowest level of your home and away from the windows. Now we check in on Texas as we check on Max 2 and show you what's going on here. It looks like that severe thunderstorm warning has gone tornadic. So now we are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning as well as a tornado warning just issued moments ago for Lampasas County. So if you're in Adamsville or maybe around Kempner, Lampasas itself under a tornado warning until 11:30 Central Time. And notice that little white area in the middle of that cell. That does indicate perhaps softball, maybe baseball size hail with this storm as it is moving toward the southeast at 30 miles an hour. So again, possible developing tornado. Doppler radar indicated 9 miles north of Lampasas, moving toward the southeast at 30 miles per hour. Seek shelter immediately.
Yeah, you can definitely see the white part there, but also let's go back to Max 1. I'm going to show you we're also dealing with some large hail with a cell here in eastern Kansas. I'm going to pause the radar here. You can see it right next to the 35, that little white speck. That's indicative of large hail, most likely suspended within that cloud, and the radar is picking off of that. And typically you might say there's heavy rain, but no, when it's that large, the hailstones reflect off the radar, and it looks like a big raindrop, but it's actually a hailstone, and sometimes those could be perhaps baseball or larger size.
All right, stay with us as we continue to bring you live coverage of the severe weather threat ongoing tonight. Welcome back to Weather Center Live. Severe weather ongoing on this Saturday night. It's been a busy day.
It's been a very busy evening and also a very busy overnight as well. Take a look at the big picture. Dealing with a severe thunderstorm watch, including Kansas City and up towards Omaha till 11 o'clock local time. We can still even deal with tornadoes with this, but also damaging winds now blowing on through portions of central Kansas, not to mention, or central Iowa, I should say, not to mention heavy rain falling. This radar shows you how much rain has fallen. It estimates it, and some areas are picking up 2 to 3 inches just in the last couple of hours. Flash flooding an ongoing concern, and we have the risk of tornadoes as well. Currently, tornado warnings till the top of the hour. Another couple minutes here for Caldwell, Clinton, as well as Osage County, and now a new tornado warning for Johnson and Miami County here in east central Kansas. That's until 11:45 local time. This cell is moving to the east at 25 miles per hour. Ping pong size hail could be an issue with this storm as it heads on towards the east. Right now, spotters reported a tornado near Baldwin City. It is impacting Interstate 35 right now, mile marker 200 and 213. Take shelter immediately. Johnson, Miami County, especially Egerton, Gardner, Spring Hill, and the town of Clare as well. You're under a tornado warning until 11:45 local time.
And our tornado hunt crew, Mike Bettis, just tweeted moments ago they're heading toward Olathe, Kansas via I-435 to check out those storms that are coming through eastern Kansas. Want to take a look at the forecast too and show you what's in store as we go into the second half of the weekend. We're still in the red for portions of eastern Kansas, but really the threat is going to move a little bit more toward the east to involve some bigger cities like Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, St. Louis, all the way down through Dallas and even the Mexican border. We're looking at that chance for some severe weather. As we head into your Sunday, here's the outlook for the rest of you across the country. Still looking a little wet in some parts of upstate New York. Hot and dry in Atlanta, 92. There's your threat for severe weather in the middle of the country. Flooding is going to be once again a concern. Places like Memphis where the Mississippi River is running high. And out to the west we go, looking dry for San Francisco, a high of 62.
And we'll continue to give you live weather updates throughout the night as severe conditions continue.
That's right. Stay with us here on the Weather Channel.